Within this video, I'll go through everything you need to know in order to defeat a fort in Sea of Thieves. Stay tuned. What is a fort? A fort in Sea of Thieves is one of the 3 global events that can occur in-game, the other 2 being an Armada and a Kraken. Only one of these 3 events can be active at any given time, meaning that if you see a skull cloud in the sky, a Kraken won't be able to spawn, nor will you sail into an Armada of ships. Where are skull forts located? If a fort is chosen to be the next global event, one island will be activated and signalled with a huge skull cloud in the sky that can be seen from across the entire map. There are 3 possible islands in the Shores of Plenty, the Wilds and the Ancient Isles, as well as one within the Devil's Roar. Presumably any new areas that are added will also get a fort added to them as well, as this is what happened with the Devil's Roar. Inactive forts versus active forts. An inactive fort is empty in terms of NPCs, however is a great place to stock up on gunpowder barrels and various supplies for your ship. An active fort means that the island will be manned with normal skeleton guards and has spawned loot within the locked vault. Once a crew lands on the fort, the first wave of skeletons will spawn. These skeletons can be normal, golden, floral or ghost types and need to be dealt with accordingly. Approaching the fort. When you sail near an active fort, the skeletons guarding it will fire from the cannon towers towards your ship. They're good shots and will hit your ship generally more often than not, and from a greater distance than you think is possible. This is when you need to decide whether or not you're going to kill the skeletons inside the cannon towers to prevent your ship from being bombarded with cannonballs, or try and sail close enough to be out of range. The bonus to leaving the cannoneer skeletons alive if your ship is in a safe spot is that they'll start shooting any ships that come towards the fort, acting as an early warning system for you. From my experience, manned cannon towers aren't a deterrent to prevent people from coming towards an active fort, simply a method of letting you know that a ship is approaching via the sound of cannonballs being fired, which can be quite helpful. How do you defeat a fort? Each fort will spawn anywhere from 10 to 15 waves before a final captain wave. Upon killing the captain, a key will drop where the captain stood and the huge skull cloud in the sky will disappear. Other pirates around the map will be able to see that the skull has disappeared. However, unless they're close enough to see your ship at the fort, they won't know if it's been defeated or just despawned. If at any point during your fort you have to AFK or engage in a battle, the fort itself won't reset. It will continue from the wave that the last person left on. This means that on occasion you may find yourself lucky enough to stumble across a fort that only has 1 wave remaining, or actually be on the final captain wave. There's no way of knowing what wave the fort is on or how many they have left before the final boss wave. The bounty music will spawn at the start of each wave and will be a different tone when the captain finally spawns. If you don't get the music after you think you've completed the wave, look around for a rogue skeleton that is either hidden or stuck somewhere. On the very rare occasion, you may find yourself unlucky enough to have a skeleton spawn in a place where you're unable to access it. You can try and use a gunpowder barrel to explode it via AoE damage, use your Eye of Reach to try and snipe it through a small gap if it's visible, or swing through a wall and listen out to see if it's taking any damage. If none of that works, you can also try and reset the wave itself by having all of your crew die at the same time, meet up on the ferry of the dam, and then run through the door together. However, I've also had mixed results when this has happened. The Skull Key. As previously mentioned, once the captain has been defeated, it will spawn a key where they stood. The key is a physical item within the game and can be picked up. It can also sink and be hidden if necessary. From what I've read, the key can be left hidden for a decent period of time. While I wasn't able to find any recent information on despawn time of keys, I was able to find information from when forts used to be a 3-hourly event, which said that keys can be left on the ground for 2.5 hours. While I wouldn't recommend this, you do get a decent amount of time before any loot disappears on game. Unfortunately, I can't give a solid figure. If you know, by all means leave a comment below. Each skull key can open any vault, however it's important to note that only an active fort will have treasure. I've read that you're able to use a key obtained from Fort A to unlock Fort B, however I've never done this myself. The key is a one-time use, meaning that once the key is used to unlock a vault, it disappears and you're unable to use it again, regardless of whether or not you found the treasure inside the vault. Unlocking the vault itself. Pick up the key and make sure the area is secure. If it is, take it to the locked vault and press the control appropriate button to unlock the door. This will cause the door to move, revealing a small room stacked with treasure. You and your crew will need to ferry the loot from the vault to your ship, ideally taking the most expensive items first. These are the Stronghold Skull, Stronghold Chest, Crate of Ancient Bone Dust, and the Stronghold Gunpowder Barrel. If you can't remember their names, just go for the items with the bones on them. Be careful with this Stronghold Gunpowder Barrel, as this is 3 times stronger than the normal gunpowder barrels and can sink a ship very quickly, even a galleon if the crew isn't on point. Even placing it in your crow's nest is not safe. If you've got another crew approaching the fort, or you're in a battle with one, you might benefit from using the Stronghold Gunpowder Barrel to sink the ship to ensure you're able to collect the rest of the loot. The vault will have a few other gunpowder barrels inside as well, so if you're walking in with another crew, be cautious about walking in first, as they might set off all the barrels at the same time and killing you while taking off with the best loot for themselves. Once all the loot has been ferried to your ship, keep an eye out in the sky for another skull cloud or a ship cloud. If you don't see either of these, there's still a chance for a kraken to spawn. This can be quite stressful with a ship full of loot, and even result in your ship being sunk if you're unsure how to defeat the kraken. The skull in the sky. You may have noticed that the skull in the sky changes eye color every now and then. Having looked into this and gotten confirmation from the developers themselves, the change in color has nothing to do with what's happening on the fort and is purely aesthetic. Alliances and the fort. While yes, alliances can make forts really easy and really quick when you've got multiple crews completing the fort, it may also be unnecessary and unwanted by the original crew to have additional people on the island. It's best to have your alliance flag up as you approach, announce that you're offering an alliance in voice chat and or by typing it, and willing to go elsewhere and do something while they do the forts. Since doing this, I've gotten a lot more gold than I otherwise would have, and my friend got a heap of rep. I don't need to fight a crew for a fort if they're going to be doing all the hard work for me while I'm off doing megalodons and completing missions. It just makes sense to be nice. Tips and miscellaneous information. Skull forts can be soloed, however many hands make light work. The more people who are attacking the skeleton waves at any given time, the faster the process is. The skull fort doesn't change its difficulty. It doesn't care if there is 1 person or 20, it's the same amount of skeletons, waves, and loot. When fighting the waves, regardless of where they spawn, use the door of the fort or the ramp inside the fort as a way to funnel skeletons towards you. If you and at least one other crewmate are standing at the door, skeletons shouldn't be able to pass through, preventing you from being overwhelmed and hopefully hitting more than one at any given time. Every now and then, and especially once the captain has been defeated, check to make sure that there aren't any ships approaching, ready to poach your loot. The best place to do this is on the top of the fort itself, as it gives you the best vantage point to see if anyone is coming towards you. If you see someone traveling towards you, grab the most expensive loot you can and either sail away with it on your ship or hide it on the island and return to it later. In doing a normal fort, you can expect to get anywhere from 12 to 20k, if not more. The Devil's Roar Fort spawns Ashen loot, doubling the totals. Each fort should have at least 2 bullet refills, one outside and another one inside the fort on the upper levels. While you can take 2 guns, it's recommended that you take a sword and a gun of choice. Familiarize yourself with the barrels around the place and make sure you know where the bananas are. Skeletons can spawn with gunpowder barrels during waves, and active forts also spawn them scattered around the place too. Be careful that you don't set off a chain reaction by accidentally hitting them. If you have any other tips, feel free to post them as well. However, that's all for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the Aussie accent, share the video so we all stay informed, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Hope you're having a lovely day. Till next time.